It's me. Workflow, ladies and gentlemen. That is the topic of discussion today. We are talking about workflow. Now, why is that important? Why is that something we need to focus on? Well, it's important so that you can take all that boring, custodial, technical stuff that you do in music production and run that in the background automatically using, your hotkeys and your workflow. And you can take all the important stuff, the creative stuff, and leave that in the front of your mind and really keep your flow going. And that's the power that, dialing in your workflow can give you, the ability to just flow through your music. Now, everyone's different, of course, and everyone's going to have their own set of challenges, but so you don't have to copy my settings exactly, but it'll get you thinking for sure. And, help you to put some steps in place to help dissolve the barrier between, yourself and the music. The DAW itself can be a barrier sometimes, and you want to get that out of your way. Also, stick around to the end. There's a bonus tip or two. I can't remember. There's at least one bonus tip at the end there that kind of came off the top of my head. It's an interesting quirk of the software. So stay tuned for that. And then, if you're new to the channel, hi, I'm Quasar. I do tutorials mostly in Reason, but just music production wise, I do tutorials. Please consider subscribing to my channel. That's really all I have. Subscribe, damn it. And if I help you at all in this video, please throw a like up. If anyone helps you in any video you watch, throw a like up for them. It really does help us out, actually. So, yeah. Anyway, without further ado, 5 game-changing workflow tips in Reason Studios Reason. So the first tip I have for you is to spend a little time when you're not producing to set up a template. A template full of instruments that, the different types of instruments that you reach for when you start a track, a pluck, a pad, a key, a couple different bass sounds, a couple different of each really. And then, some receptacles for drums. I don't populate them. You can, but I just have the samplers ready to load some drums in, and some audio tracks of each type. And they're all named and colored, coded the way I like. It saves a bunch of time when you're starting up a session, when you're going to start working, to just be able to grab this pluck and start writing your chord progression right away. So you can also set up in each channel. You can set up your channel strip that you like set up. I usually run everything in parallel in each channel, so I have one of these set up with the Spider Audio set up already, so that I don't have to do that each time. Also, bonus though, you can kind of save yourself a little bit of time. Let's say I wanted to add a channel really quick. I just added this channel. I also have it set up so that I can quickly open the programmer and boom, I have a combinator set up. That's that audio effect rack setup that I like. So I highly recommend doing that too. You just put one of these, you just put the plugins in the rack the way you want them configured, and then you can just show programmer and save right here. So even if I do end up adding a track that wasn't in the auto load in the template, I still have another way to throw this in here quick, because this is how I like to process. And if you've seen my, I think it was the Hack the Rack video, I'll put the card up. This is how you want to process your sound effects. Your sound effects? This is how you want to process your effects. Tip number 2, take your master section and make it a record source. Always. It just makes it faster when you want to resample things back in. So if you look, my master section is a record source. It just stays that way, and it's also saved that way in my template. That way, if I record something, and then let's say I want to do reverse reverb on that for some or something like that, it's as simple as making a track, making it stereo. And then you see the master section's always in that list there. It's always ready to go. Solo the track, hit record. Boom. It's resampled back in. And then, you can do all the stuff you want to do with audio now that you have it in audio. So that saves a lot of time, because otherwise you'd be going here and then, finding the channel, that one, making it a record source, and then selecting it, blah, blah, blah. Too much. Just knowing that you're always going to resample from the master and hit solo, it makes it faster. Also, it's easier to do multiple channels if you just want to take all your claps and bounce them down really quick and just record them back in. You can just solo all three or all two or both of them. You get it. For tip number 3, I have some hotkeys for you that I use all the time that you might not have thought of. I have a hotkey set up for this button right here. This button it returns the playhead to the L bracket. I have that set up to the letter A on my keyboard. So let's say I'm working on something. And that vocal comes in and I decide I want to tweak that vocal for a while. What I would do is I would take you can hold Alt or Option and move the left locator. I would move the left locator to right before, where I want to work. Hit A to move the playhead to the left locator. And then I would let it play, Let's say I want to do some mixing stuff on it. Then I would hit A to go back to the point I'm working on. So you know what I mean? So as it's playing, I'm tweaking, it plays back, and let's say, here it doesn't play for a little while, so I can hit A to bring it back. It just makes it easy you don't have to cycle play a part. I mean, you can do that as well, obviously, but it's just another option to just jump back to where you're working quickly, using the left locator as as an anchor point, and then using A to just jump back to it, or whatever key you assign it to. But just assigning a key to that is helpful. So that's one. Oh, you can assign keys by right-clicking, and it's Edit Keyboard Control Mapping. This little dialog will pop up, and then you can press whatever key. I pressed A, and then I think you need to have this checked as well for it to work. So that's one. Another one I use, let me just look at my notes. Oh, I have a key mapped for the record button. I use the tilde on the keyboard. It's right at the very top left. Depending on your keyboard, it's probably below an escape key. Actually, that's probably on all. Anyway, the tilde, that's what I use for record. That's a handy one, but I definitely recommend setting up a key for the record button. Also, I use brackets, the bracket keys, to move the playhead. This is handy too. You're going through something and you just want to go back, and you don't want to have to click away from where you are. Maybe you're in the rack and you're tweaking something and you just heard that hit again and you just want to go back. You can just use the bracket keys to do so. Each key press, or each time this is clicked, it's a bar. Or maybe it's 2. I think in this case that looks like 2. No, it's 1. Silly me. So in each case it's a bar. Oh, also, bonus one. I didn't write this one down, but I just realized I used it. I set up a hotkey for this button. All solo off. Handy. And I use the O key on my keyboard since it's not in use for anything else. And it just reminds me, open all or something like that. Handy. So when you're working on something, again, you don't have to click away to make all the tracks available to be heard, to make sure that everything's unsoloed. Also, it's just a nice button to have to just make sure you clear everything out on the mixer without having to look at it. Too bad you can't set up a hotkey for these too, but you can't. That'd be nice. Tip number 4, this combinator right here. I got this one actually from the propeller head at the time, but the Reason Studios YouTube page, which is a great resource for anything Reason, obviously, even more so than other DAWs. They really are on their YouTube tutorial game. But they brought this up, and I'm going to bring it up for you just in case you haven't seen it. They made a combinator, and it's in the factory sound library. It's just a mono switch. It's super handy, and I have a hotkey set up. Of course I do. Mine is Shift N. And then so really quickly, without having to come over here, I can check anything in mono. And what are you looking for when you check things in mono? You're looking to see if they lose any power, any energy. Like if you take something, a hi-hat, and you try to make it really wide using Haas effect, or maybe you have some widening program, some widening plugin, and you check it with your hotkey to see what it sounds like in mono, and you toggle back and forth. And if it drops in volume or drops in energy, drops in power, it's not really mono compatible. And that can be okay if it's a backup vocal or something like that, or something not really important. Not a backup vocal, but like, like an ad lib or something like that you want to just be on the edge of the speakers. And it's okay if it just kind of disappears a little bit when it's played back on a HomePod or on coming out of someone's phone in mono. But anyway, wow, that was a ramble. But it's really super handy. It's really super handy to be able to check things in mono with the flick of a button. So yeah, this is called the Stereo Flip in Mono combinator. You can search for it here in the factory sounds. Stereo Flip. Booyah. Took a second. I don't know why I have two. And then you just drag that in, and then again, save that in your template with the hotkey. Super handy. I use it all the time. Yeah. Tip number 5. Tip number 5 is the Quasar Delay Volume 2. That's right. For those of you not familiar, I made a combinator and made it all nice and pretty. It's a delay unit. It's available for download from my website in the download section, djquasar.com. It's in the description. Download it, get it. I'll show you what's inside of it. Basically it's a stereo delay that's pre-routed with reverbs after the delay, and then also tone control. So you can make it subtle, you can make it big, you can make it really quickly sound however you want it to. Here, we'll take it out so you can just hear this. You can go from subtle to huge. Add modulation. I mean, it's handy. I use it in every track. Use it on vocals, I'd use it all over the place. Super handy. The Quasar Delay Volume 2. Get it. Get it. Link in the description once again. Oh, quick bonus one for you. This is an interesting quirk of the software I just came across, but if you ever want to quickly search for, your plugin folder gets pretty big, and doing this sometimes can be a little daunting. You're like, whoa, which one do I want? It can be quick to just type it here. Boom. And then just click it. Boom. That's handy. I do that all the time. So I just click on the help, and then you can start searching right away. I just want looking for a flanger. There's all the flangers I got. Actually, these ones aren't even installed, but boom, got a flanger. That one's handy. I use that a lot. You can't search for your like a combinator that you made. So like the quasar delay. Oops. No, that won't show up. But if I type delay, boom, it's a bunch of delays. Just put one right in. Nice and easy. Oh, the other thing that you cannot do from there is you can't hold shift to not have it auto reroute. So if you're going into a complicated routing situation and you would want to hold shift to bring the plugin in without it auto routing, you can't do that from here. But otherwise, that's pretty handy actually. Limiter. Bam. Pretty handy. And there you have it. Some tips to help you along your journey, along your music making journey. I hope they were helpful to you. If they were, hit that thumbs up. Hit the subscribe if you are so inclined. If you hate my face, hit that thumbs down. I don't know. Just engage. If you have any tips that really help you out along the way of your productions, hit the comment section. Let's make a little resource down there for everyone looking to hack their workflow. I hate when people say hack. Anyway, djquasar.com is always available for info on me. You can go to the download section and download combinator patches. If there's sessions, there's stuff. Just go check it out. You can follow my socials from there too. That's it. You guys are the best.